Parliamentary updates.
The 20th National Youth Parliament held its first sitting on December 4th. 46 young participants representing secondary and tertiary schools and other youth organizations contributed to the debate. The private motion called on the government to abolish the secondary entrance assessment examination and was moved by Leader of the Opposition and Member for Superior Cheyenne St. Hilaire of the University of the West Indies.
The secondary entrance assessment still wreaks havoc on our nation's youth, Mr. Speaker. As they grapple with this challenge, the government must not only confront their failure to learn from history, but confront their lack of courage to convert the 19th century old colonial missionary value system in education to a dynamic, authentic force for development in the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, those are not my words, but instead they come from the government-established Vision 2030 Culture and Attitude Subcommittee after their evaluation of Trinidad and Tobago's education system.
She highlighted other areas of merit that should be considered when testing students' development.
Now, nowhere within this framework is it mentioned that the exam focuses on developing, 1, real-world skills, catering to the different learning styles, or hinges on inclusive education. Now, in the Ministry of Education's policy document, they claim to have strategies that promote inclusion, such as sensitization training. But if those strategies are being implemented, why is it year after year we see parents on the news complaining about this, asking for their children to be treated with an ounce of decency, Mr. Speaker?
The opposition leader put forward a solution for the government.
Since action and not reaction in due course is this opposition's priority, we propose a more holistic education system, Mr. Speaker, one reflective of Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences that takes into account everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and that students are not only moved by conventional methods, but it must cater to their individual needs. We also propose that S.E.A. be replaced by an innovative ongoing assessment, the Comprehensive Academic Progress Assessment, that differs from the previous continuous assessment component.
The Minister of Education was first to rebut.
Mr. Speaker, as I move along, we on this side cannot see the link between the S.E.A. and self-harm. We have searched relentlessly for this uptick that the Leader of the Opposition has claimed to see, and we have found no such report supporting this. Mr. Speaker, what we did see was where counseling psychologist Sully Joseph at the Sully Joseph Associates Self-Harm Workshop in May 2023 linked it to school violence, to the hidden culture of the school, to challenges on the internet, and a myriad of other reasons, but not once was this linked to the secondary entrance assessment.
She said her ministry does all it can to ease the burden on students and parents alike.
Mr. Speaker, the Student Support Services Division of the Ministry of Education has been having ongoing workshops for parents on anxiety reduction. Guidance counselors have been preparing the students themselves for handling this anxiety as well. These sessions have been ongoing and constant, and not here and there like the Leader of the Opposition would have us all believe.
The member for Couva South made a passionate contribution. He quoted statistics from the United Nations.
Honourable members, as representative for Couva South, I bring attention to this pressing issue associated with the S.E.A. examination and the negative impacts on our youth. Dr. Eric Williams' wise words echoed throughout these halls today. The future of our nation is in our children's school bags. But how could we achieve this future if our children's school bags are being laden down with stresses of the S.E.A. exam, anxiety, depressive thoughts, suicidal thoughts? How could we let our children suffer through this? According to the UNICEF Regional Brief in Latin America and the Caribbean 2021, the estimated prevalence of mental disorders amongst adolescents aged 10 to 19 in Trinidad and Tobago within 2019 was a staggering 16.5%, Mr. Speaker. And for the government, since you all love to hear our statistics so much, this is 30,382 children within the country.
And the Minister of Health tore down the proposal of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, when the CAC failed, Ms. Nadia Baptiste Francis, as was mentioned by Oropouche East, who spoke on inclusive and special education, she's a specialist in that, Mr. Speaker, said that the CAC failed due to slow teacher buy-in, inadequate front-end training, dysfunctional support systems, parental apathy, contractual barriers, ad hoc implementation, and the biases within the system, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I know that the opposition, they brought this motion because they know that this is a government that could do anything. But even this government cannot fix some of these systematic issues within the CAC.
He explained some of what his ministry is doing.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health has been working closely with the Ministry of Education to improve its system and support for the students of our nation, Mr. Speaker. We've been working to destigmatize the issue of mental health, where now you can have a conversation and persons feel okay about having a conversation about feeling stressed or depressed. And even, Mr. Speaker, we're decentralizing mental health services. So now you can access mental health services at the Mayaro District Health Facility, the Princestown District Health Facility, the Couva District Health Facility. And Mr. Speaker, you will notice those are all opposition constituencies.
But the member for Faizabad had some sharp words for the Minister of Finance.
He boasted that $10 million in remedial lessons for 2022 S.E.A students was given. 9,000 students got below the percentage rate of 50%, Mr. Speaker, but only 1,900 attended. What does that say, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I've sat in my chair and all I've heard is promises with no actions by this very same said government on the opposite side of this room. I would like to ask the government to present the statistics of each point that they have brought forward, because so far I've heard not one statistics that has been brought to this bench this morning, Mr. Speaker.
He explained that his information comes from real-life examples.
Mr. Speaker, I even conducted an interview with a past S.E.A student from in my constituency. And after this interview, it brought tears to my eyes to hear such a young girl can cry so sad that she was not able to set the very same set S.E.A exams because she was unwell. What does the Minister of Education have to say about that? What does the Minister of Health have to say about that?
The MP for Arima also contributed to the debate.
Where there is no knowledge, the people die. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. This opposition fails to see that the format of the exam is not the problem. Changing a standardized exam to a continuous assessment exam is just rebuttaling the exact same thing. If I take a rock and put it in a fancy bag and hand it to you, it is still a rock. This CAC is this kappa is the CAC rebutted and rebranded.
Yeah. The Minister of Planning said the S.E.A targets all the facets of children.
It allows children to assess their potential, as not all children are inclined to schoolwork and may seek a vocational or remedial form of education which this government has provided. This opposition's main topic of interest claims to be the mental and physical well-being of the students, but they do not see that the main problem is not the exam, but the external problems caused by parents, teachers, peers, and society. changing the format of this exam cannot ensure the passing of our child and will not lead to a smooth transition between the primary and secondary school education system.
At the end of debate, the results for Best Debater and People's Choice were announced. The Parliament channel spoke to the winners. People's Choice winner went to Gabriel Maharaj of the Debe Secondary School.
I was really nervous at first, but after the enthusiasm and the vigor that was displayed by all of my colleagues and in the government as well, it was a fun experience in my opinion. I think the topic is extremely relevant, and although S.E.A may have its good parts, it has its bad parts too, especially since COVID, and I think it's something that should be discussed by the government more often. As someone this is my first year participating, and I personally think it gave me a lot of confidence, it boosted my morale, it helped me with my speech development. It's an incredible experience, and I encourage many more youths to join in the future.
Tied for second place was Denzel Julian of the Trinidad Youth Council.
My experience today was a lot. It was ups and downs. I was very nervous while speaking, as it's the first time I would ever be involved in anything to this magnitude, but it was an enjoyable experience overall. I get to implement the standing orders and all the training. It all comes together in one good session. I think the topic that we debated today is very relevant, as it shapes the country and the youths going forward. It provides a framework and a solid ground for them to continue to grow in the education system, mentally, socially, and it creates a holistic youth as a whole. I think it's something that we could benefit from in terms of public policy formulation, getting the youths involved in these trending topics and debating on it for and against. I think it's something that we could benefit from yearly, and as the time goes on, the program will develop better.
And also in second place was Ariana Bire of the Trinidad and Tobago Advocacy Network.
My experience was surreal. I couldn't believe that I got this opportunity here today to come and debate on a potential bill to pass in the future. And it was surreal. Interacting with the other youth parliamentarians was so, it gave me a collaborative spirit and vibe interacting with them. And being able to get that spotlight and speak on the forefront of a prevalent issue like this was an amazing experience. I think it was very relevant since many students have voiced their opinions on mental health issues. However, it is important to note that the government cannot just eradicate a program immediately. There needs to be programs and policies, some consideration, some steps to take before we do that. So this was the first step in getting more equality for the future of our country. I think the National Youth Parliament as an annual event is imperative in our country today. Youths need to get this opportunity to speak, to come at the forefront, to raise their voice on prevalent issues in their country. And I think that youth collaboration and youth voices are very disregarded in society today. So the Youth Parliament gives us a space, gives us a voice to voice our concerns and perspectives on issues that affect us.
And Best Debater went to Jada Charles of Tobago Youth Updates.
My experience was a thrilling one. I learned a lot. I had a lot of great experiences. I met many friends, and I'm pretty sure that the persons that I've met while networking will become lifelong partners in my future career. So I will all in all say, today was a great experience. It is a bridge because it allows students to be able to learn skills and develop, different characteristics that they need to prepare them for the world stage, they need to prepare them for high school and otherwise. So I think that the motion was very prevalent. The opposition brought some insight into some underlying issues that may not have been realized or may not have been shown or forecasted publicly. And I believe that it was a good debate. We were able to learn a lot from both sides. I think that this youth parliament was of great benefit. It was a marvelous opportunity, and I encourage young persons who are interested in advocacy, who are interested in exploring something new, to take part. I'm encouraging institutions to offer themselves up, because we have a plethora of schools, different institutions, persons from both countries, and we all work together to produce a marvelous debate. So I would say that annually, this is something that should continue. It has to continue because the youth have a voice, and as was showcased today, we have a powerful voice.
The National Youth Parliament is hosted annually by the Office of the Parliament as a forum for young people to express their ideas, concerns and expectations with regard to democracy. Stay tuned for more parliamentary updates. For more information, visit our website at www.ttparliament.org and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram.